how can you practice your karate at home? You know, it's no secret that getting to the dojo one time a week is not really going to get you to where you want to be if you want to become a black belt or you want to become good at karate or you want to become a champion in karate, okay? And I know this time of year we've got like Christmas break coming up and some of you are going to have some time off the dojo. And if you're not watching this, you know, if you're watching this video at a different time of the year, it's still relevant either way. So I'm going to give you a few ideas about how you can practice your karate when you're not at the dojo and your progress is going to accelerate rapidly as a result. Now, this obviously applies to all grades and all levels of experience. We can all practice our stuff away from the dojo. And the more you do of something, the better you're going to get, as you already know. So the first way of practicing your karate at home is to take your kata, break it into small sections, even one single technique, and work on repeating that and improving it. I'm sure you've had feedback in the dojo, or you've had feedback you know, elsewhere. You've looked on videos and you've seen how the kata is done. You know, work on the bits you need to work on, because of course we can't probably fit in a whole kata if it's in your house and you've got maybe limited space. But you can certainly break down one movement. You know, if you're in your bedroom, you've got a bit of space by the side of your bed, or in the kitchen, you know, in between, you know, you have some space there. I'm sure you'll have a little bit of space to work on one single technique. And improving kata anyway is about taking the elements out of it, or the single techniques out of it, and then polishing them up, putting them back into the kata again. Okay? I mean, I would never really advise to practice full katas all the time as your kata practice anyway, because you're basically just running through the motions, probably ingraining your poor technique or your mistakes into the kata anyway. So take little bits out of it, improve little bits there, you know, work on certain things you might need to work on, and then maybe take another bit. When you get to the dojo and you've got space to do the full kata, then hopefully those areas you worked on are going to be improved. The second way you can improve your karate at home in a limited area and with limited equipment is to work on your kumite techniques. You know, take a certain drill, you know, maybe a certain combination, and work on that combination over and over again, trying to refine it. Probably the best way to do this is in front of a mirror, so you can try to see your kind of telegraphs and this kind of thing, you know, try and refine the technique by repetition. It's also quite a good cardio workout, you know, if you're getting on the toes in that time in minutes or 2 or 3 minute rounds and drilling combinations, you know, maybe a few different combinations. You're going to be able to get those techniques faster, more efficient, and more natural when it comes to sparring. Don't forget to visualize what you're doing while you're doing it as well. So like, we're not just making shapes, we are actually, you know, mentally visualizing what we're doing. So as you're working on your kumite techniques, you're working on thinking about how they're reacting to your movements and how you're reacting to them. So that's the second tip. Get a kumite drill, you know, one technique or 2 or 3 techniques to put together in a combination and work on those at home. The third tip is to practice your kion, or your fundamentals. You can work on, you know, static kion, like you would do in a dojo. You know, rather than taking 3 or 4 steps forwards in your long front stances and stuff, you can work statically and drill kind of fundamental movements. Kion is about improving your connection with your body, improving body mechanics and the efficiency of your movement, okay, which then fits in with your kumite and your kata later on. So this is probably the best one, to be honest, to take away from the dojo and practice static kion. You know, you can be working the exercises from your grading or whatever you need to do to improve your karate as a whole. Probably the most basic kind of thing you could do in terms of karate is just working that gyakuzuki, just connecting the hip with the body and the punch. Yeah, you know, just working on the spot. It takes very little space and you can do plenty of work with that and make a lot of progress in, you know, again, at home with no space. If you made it this far in the video and you're enjoying it, please consider subscribing to the channel for more like this. Similar to the previous one, you can work on stances and the transitions between stances. You know, the stance is basically how we are standing, and the transitions, what I mean by that is kind of shifting weight forward and back and into the center, you know, between Kibadachi and Zenkutsudachi and different stances. Really focusing on shifting that center of mass. Okay, improving your stances is going to improve your karate as a whole as well, because we all know that it comes from the ground upwards, you know, from the lower body. So again, it's something you can practice really nice and easy at home. You know, if you've got just a space like maybe 1 or 2 meters of kind of straight space here, we can just work on transitioning into that Zenkutsudachi and backwards. You know, it doesn't take any space at all really, and you can get a lot of work done with that. Another one that I'm sure your sensei or your instructor always tells you to do is your stretching. You know, make sure you're keeping up your stretching, your flexibility and mobility work at home. This takes, again, no space at all. You can do this while watching TV. You know, some of these things you can do while you're doing other things, actually. You know, I was talking about stances in the previous one. You can sit there and watch telly in your stances, you know, and just shift between different positions and that. So you're kind of getting things done without really having to make time for it as such. But yeah, stretching, a little bit of stretching, you know, 4 or 5 times a week is going to really improve your karate or your martial arts rapidly, because limited mobility is probably one of the biggest problems that I find in students that I teach. You know, how can someone do a maoshigeri or a side kick when the mobility is limiting them? Technique, of course, is one thing, but if you can't get your leg up in the air, then we've got to address that first. So a quick mention again to my partnership with Art Martial Clothing, a martial arts inspired lifestyle brand. They've got some really nice martial arts designs on clothes, t-shirts, hoodies, jogging bottoms, shorts, even backpacks and hats as well. I'm wearing this t-shirt right now. Really nice stuff. So good for training, good just for casual wear as well. I'll put a link in the video description. If you want to get a discount, you can put in a code CLUB20 to get 20% off your first order. So I'll put all that information down the bottom. Go and check out their stuff. The final one is to do some kind of strength training, strength and conditioning type work. I know you've probably not got a gym at home or even any equipment at home, but you can do body weight type stuff. I'm probably going to put together a body weight session actually for people to do at home. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. But you know, just chucking some press ups together and sit ups and this kind of stuff and squats, lunges, all these kind of things, just to try and improve the condition and the strength of your body is going to really improve your karate and make it easier for you in the long run. It's also good for injury prevention. You know, stronger body is going to be more resilient to injury and taking kind of, you know, damage and resisting kind of damage as well. Okay, so if there's any that you can add to that or things that you do at home as well, there's many things that you can do at home to practice your karate and to improve it. So you can drop them in the comments below. If you haven't done already, please subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 100,000 subscribers, so that'll be a really nice milestone to reach. And again, drop us a comment, give us a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.